Morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. And by everyone, I mean the one viewer I have. Just getting a little couple of things ready. Ooh. That was weird. Hey, thanks for the follow. That was really quick. I always love getting new followers. So I had a Big Blue on here, but I think this actually works out a lot better. I love this combination here. This is some good stuff. This, of course, is the Grey Studios Polygon 7. Pretty indicative by the buttons, although on every other button except for this gray model, the buttons are silver, which was part of what sold me on this particular colorway. So I got the black buttons. I like the black buttons. And then, disregarding the fingerprints, that bottom is awesome looking. And then I love the blue. Because I love blue. Like gold. It's been so many years since I've seen Gold Member, and I think I've only seen it once. And yet, I do that quote all the time. Let me get that cable out of the way. So, for today's coffee, we'll bring it up a few times. It's another Geek Grind favorite. This is Elvish Enlightenment. It is a single country sourced, which is Colombia, light to medium roast. And this is not sponsored by them. I just like showing off the coffee that I use each morning. I have cream and sugar in my coffee. That's how I like it. Insert weird and kind of disgusting joke here about sweet and creamy. I'll let you handle that part. But this is not the keyboard we will be looking at to start or to rebuild today. This is just what I did last night because I wanted to. So I put the Saru switches. We're already going off on a tangent, so that just tells you how great the day is going to be. So yeah, so I put the Saru switches because I got a second batch for myself into the Salvation. But Striker was just not, it was just too harsh for me. So, I'm like, despite the fact that Striker looks perfect on here because the color matching is almost perfect, I decided to go with the Canon Keys Big Blue keycap set. So the blue on it is really dark, but also pretty much matches the case. So you've got all these sub-legends and the inner key and stuff that are matching. Morning, Kilara. How are you? And yeah, so the Sarus came out really nice. I'm doing pretty good. I mean, you know, I'm looking forward to the stream today, so that's something. Having myself some coffee. Love it when I'm happy with a build. So, you know, and for those of you who are not familiar with the Salvation is an older board. It is a solid chunk of aluminum, which is surprisingly heavy in this case. It is a box on wedge, but it is an older box on wedge, which makes it more original, sort of ish, I guess. I don't know. It is a leaf gasket, one of the early leaf gaskets. So there are leaves all on the inside that point in different directions. Let me find out. Hold. Let's get our window capture set up for today. I agree. So here you can kind of see. So you have a screw that screws the FR4 leaf into here, and then there's a rubber bumper on the top and a rubber bumper on the bottom. And then on this one, I don't use the two on the side because you're not supposed to, but on this one and its counterpart on the opposite side, there is a screw or a screw socket, and you screw the piece because essentially it uses standard GH60 PCB. This is the actual Salvation avocado hot swap PCB that I have in mind. It came to me because I bought it secondhand with the solder plate or PCB, but unfortunately, the right alt diode was not on there. So I ended up getting a replacement. Actually, for a while, I was going with different layouts. So similar to the Zoom 64, I had for a while been rocking the 64 key 60%. So I had an arrow cluster here and small shift over here. And that worked for a while, which I had gotten because I wanted hot swap and I wanted RGB. And then I'm like, I want to go back to the original. And so, yeah, but it has just a little bit of flex, just enough to where it's not bouncy, but it feels good. Yeah, Salvation. One of my favorite boards. I have a lot of favorite boards, though. I mean, to be honest. I don't know if there's such a thing as a keyboard slut. That's kind of what I am. The keyboard we will be working on today is this. So this is the Grey Studios Macross, and in the Tyrael colorway. Grey Studios. And this is a straight up wedge with its accents. And it's a 65%. And while the switches in it are really nice, let's do another quick sound test. Yes, marbly, but it's a little on the strong side. So I was messing around the other day, and so I had a bunch of cilantros lying around. For those of you who don't know, cilantros are normally a debump tactile. It was a collaboration between HMX and Akko. And then I also had the old 415 keys UHMWPE stems lying around. And so I'm like, what if I made it into a linear? Hey, look, this one's open. There you go. What if I made the cilantro into a linear with a UHMWPE stem? And so that is what I did. And so I made 130 of them, because that's how I roll. And that is what we have here. And so I'm like, maybe that will, we'll have to see, make this a little bit more mellow, maybe a little less loud. And so we will. But to start, you are going to go off to the side. You, sir, are getting put away for now. Might make a return later on. And if you're curious about this keyboard, the Polygon 7, that is my exclamation point build for today. So, or my exclamation point keyboard for today. Exclamation point build for today is, of course, the well, to start off, it's this. Is this? Oop. The EpoMaker RT98 keyboard. So this is initially in the Southpaw configuration, and let's get into this. So this is a 1800 with that unique twist, which we've seen before on some other keyboards. And we'll see how they did their implementation. So we get the manual, which is just a card, really, that has all your keys and stuff on it. If you want the full manual, it comes with QR code. That is also to get the JSON file, and the JSON file will help remap keys and operate the lights, but does nothing, obviously, for the screen. We've got a braided A to C cable. Your Mac switches, keycaps. Some extra switches. In this case, this is the Creamy Jade switch, which I am a fan of. Also in here is a couple of extra screws, which we'll see why in a little bit, along with an Allen key, which we'll also see why in a little bit. Standard keycap, switch puller, which we will not be using, and the screen. And that is the box. We'll take a look at the screen and the keyboard in just a moment. So the screen comes in this little foamy bit. That is not. This is the Mighty Cthulhu, the sleeper. It is an H.P. Lovecraft based story from the Call of Cthulhu, and has become kind of its own thing in modern days, where it started off, and you had things like the role-playing games, which was called Call of Cthulhu, where essentially it was one of the early horror role-playing games, where your sanity was a stat that would inevitably go down. Cthulhu, if you accidentally allowed him to be summoned, you were pretty much screwed, because the stat... See, there's two really good stats in role-playing games. if you ask me. One, we are talking about Cthulhu. Morning, he might be gaming. The stat for Cthulhu, well, the first one was in Robotech, also known as Macross. In the role-playing game for Robotech, you had the reflex cannon. And the reflex cannon, which was mounted on the SDF-1, and later it was mounted on small other things, but absolutely destroyed everything in its path for 1 mile. That was its damage stat. It didn't roll. You didn't roll dice. You just absolutely destroyed everything except for a reflex shield, which was mounted on motorcycles occasionally. Who knew? But Cthulhu. So Cthulhu scooped up 1d3 players per round and ate them, and they were consumed. So, but anyway, how are you doing this morning? Yeah. So TV, it is not in fact a TV, as much as it would be cool if I could just route. And it just goes right here. It magnetically connects. Boom. You can take it off. I kind of wish this would come out and allow me to put extra switches here if I wanted. But no. Their design does not allow for that. Actually, their new design, which has, instead of the TV design, it's more of an inset at an incline. Yes, the immovable object wins in Robotech, which is good, you know. So this is the keyboard, and as I said, it's an 1800 with the numpad starting off over here in a Southpaw configuration, which for a lot of gamers is good because you can have your numpad over on this side while you have your mouse over here. As you'll see, this seam is because we can move it from one side over to the other, which we'll do as we go on. If you look here, you can see that it does have a receptacle for the 2.4 gigahertz wireless. That fits snug, your USB-C, and then you have a switch for your Bluetooth 2.4 and USB. USB configuration when not plugged in obviously is the off position. It is a box-on wedge. It does have 2-stage flippable feet. It is otherwise, well, not otherwise, but in general, an ABS plastic case, which budget. So, I mean, I think let's go take a look at this. There you are. RT98 is currently not on sale and is $119. I like the fact that it's right-handed or Southpaw, which seems, I like Northpaw better. You can also get it with the sea salt switches if you want it completely silent. We will take a look at that. This keyboard, because of the modular design, is one of the few EpoMaker keyboards right now that you could take apart. Most of them require like a spudger or something. This one uses screws. Creamy deep Thaki. Here we go. This is the different layers. You can see it has flex cut, polycarbonate plate. Go in with this. There we go. This is what I was looking for. The screen, this little screen, is 1.14 inches. That's diameter. It has an 8,000 milliamp hour battery. So it'll keep you mostly going all day. It will keep you going all day if you turn off the RGB. 1.18 kilograms. That's about a little under 3 pounds, I think. ABS plastic, PC plate. Oh no, it says no flex cuts. It is gasket mount, which we'll see when we get into it. There's also a silicone layer at the bottom. That's what gives it some of its heft. Yes, unfortunately, there is only one color option, and it is beige. They were kind of going, you're almost exactly right. They were going for a retro Windows 98 style, which is why you have the accent keys being these colors. It's very, very retro for that. It is only 1000 hertz polling rate. I say only, and that's going to be fine for most people's average gaming. Did I get a multi-angle? Did it not give it? It did not. I was looking for the angle, which I'm guessing is going to be 7, 5, and 11, which is usually what it is. We're going to need this. So let's see. Oh, is there now an online driver for this? Ooh. Hold on. Hold the phone. Well, first of all, let's do a quick sound test of the starting point we have here. So this is the stock with EpoMaker Creamy Jade switches. They're stock die sub keycaps. And here we go. So, you want to talk about creamy. And it's going to be helped by the ABS plastic of the case. But now, let's go ahead and restart music. Go back to the page, since I know there might be some people joining us today on the YouTube side, so I wanted to make sure that I had that available for people so that I can actually see when they chat. Yeah, I'm not sure why the RT series, like the original RT100, had like a gray and red colorway, which was pretty awesome. Which honestly, I would get that, and then get MT3 Black Speech, which formerly by Drop. Hold on a second. Hopefully that muted. You did not have to hear me cough. But, and that would have been like an awesome setup. But the original had some issues. Alright, so let's go ahead and connect device. Screen authorization. Oh, it did a time sync, which is good. Let's see if we can upload a GIF. Put them in here. I did not. Weird. Here we go. So we added a GIF. We are downloading to device. Hey, what's going on, minion of Satan? Welcome. I saw you. Woohoo. So let's see if we can get it to... Nope. It is going to be... Well, you can kind of see it here. So basically it just shows that there's a folder and there's an arrow going down to it. And we have an image going into the machine or into the device. This is the RGB while we wait. So good shine through. These switches help with that because of their bluish milky top housing. Here you. It's a pretty good switch actually. If you like that creamy aesthetic for your sound, the weight is kind of middle of the road. I think it's what, 42 gram actuation. Let's go to the map, Bob. .45 gram actuation, so yeah, really just average, middle of the road. With a 50 gram bottom out, which is kind of kind of light for a bottom out, but you know, I'm digging it. Okay, so now it is officially in here. How do we change it? Again, let's go to the map, Bob. Function enter. Okay, so pretty standard. And here we go. Let's see if you can see this. You can. The screen is actually really nice. It is not quite as good as the RT87. Yeah, the screen. I mean, adding. I was adding an animated GIF to the screen using the. They use a WebDriver now, which is awesome because they were using a downloadable software before. But yeah, you can just pop it on, pop it off. Yo, pop off! Which we're going to actually pop it off for our next step, which is going to be moving this Southpaw to being a Northpaw. Oh, if you remove and re-add the screen does not function. I think it's until you hit function C and reset it. And once you reset it, it'll go and turn back on. I can see it pretty well with my when I look down. The newer ones have a more recessed angle and actually will remove and allow you to put 4 switches in its place, which I think is a much better design. Disconnect this. We're going to get out our toolkit. Not sponsored by iFixit, but I would take some of that sweet, sweet iFixit money. Get out of the way. Oh, by the way, EpoMaker sent this to me. So, sponsored-ish. They didn't know I would. I mean, they don't know what I'm doing with these things. They just send me stuff. I think it's awesome. I'm like, hey, I would love to take a look at that. And they're like, let's see. So one thing, so I've already looked at this myself a little bit because I wanted to see how this worked before the stream. And these little guys I had off to the side are supposed to be blockers that are supposed to go in here. And I saw on the, so, right, push them in. Oh, wait, I got one. But normally, these things are just not going in. I noticed on the, how do you pronounce that, Kerosian Thomas's stream, he didn't even have them in. He didn't bring them up. He had obviously looked at them previously as well. That's way too big. You are the right one. So, yeah, because it's supposed to block off the 2 screw holes that you're not using at any particular time. Hey, what's up, WizTech Gamer? What's going up, Wiz? How are you? They named an entire movie about you. It's The Wiz. It had Michael Jackson in it. It was from like the 70s. It was basically The Wizard of Oz. But more soul-y. Because it had like Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Nipsey Russell. It's great. So, Yeah. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8 screws. It was. I am more likely having watched The Wizard of Oz like every year growing up. I am more likely to watch The Wiz, which I haven't watched either in years, than I am to watch The Wizard of Oz again. Or Wicked, for that matter, which I've seen the Wickeds, the movies, not the actual production, and The Wiz. Yeah. Despite the creepster that Michael Jackson ended up being, which I blame his environment, which I blame him, but alright, so now that this is unscrewed, we can take this and pry it up. I do have a pry tool, because you don't want to damage anything. Try and get it under there. So there are a series of clips that hold it in place. So you still have to deal with clips. And then you have to be careful because there is a ribbon cable that holds this in place. Don't drop it. Rule number, well, it might be rule number 1. It's certainly in the top 3. Don't drop it more than once. Certainly don't drop it more than once. I don't know why I'm being so slippery today. So the use of clips makes it less fun, but you're not going to be doing this that often. You're going to pick up, hey look, since we're here, there are your batteries, there's your silicone pad, there's your JST connectors, there's your ribbon connector that's going to connect the 2 sides together. And there we have this, finally. This actually will come off easily. And then we take a look at the numpad side. So we are going to undo this ribbon cable from here. Look, I have a spider. Okay. So I have a spider. There we go. Okay. So now we can look at this. There's 2 ribbon cable connectors. One, because when you change it on sides, it's going to go from one side to the other. You've got your foam that is attached to the bottom. It is held on by glue. Oh, well, congratulations. Go date. Yeah, be dating. Be dateful. Congratulations to yourself and to whomever you're with. There are 3 screws that hold the bottom together, and then you can see those layers. So you've got a pour-on layer, a PE sheet, a PET sheet, and then we need to take the ribbon out from here. Yeah. And then it moves to its other side. You can see here, it goes from here to here. So now we're going to put this blue side up, because that means contact side down into here. Pull that down. Make sure, give it a little tug, not too much. Give it a little tug, not too much. That is a good rule from life. Whether it's shirts or anything, we'll be non-specific at that point. All right, make sure your gaskets are all in. So, make sure all your gaskets are lined up, and they are. So now we can come over here. And this is the gaskets. This is actually a not bad gasket design. You've got these little ridges so that you get a little bit more flex when you go face down. There's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom here. Seems like a lot. I don't know that that's necessary for a single numpad, but we'll leave it. Close your flap on one side, open the flap on the other. Now we're going to see if we can get this to go in. Yeah, nice. Well, maybe that'll be my first piece of merch. All right. Let's go the other way. Let's flip it up. Like that. And do that. I should be able to do this. Don't know why I didn't think of it before. That is snug. Push in. Now we can flip the whole thing back around. Again, make sure that all of our gaskets are seating properly. None of our gaskets came out at all. You're in. Okay. So, now we can just push it down. What did I just say? I said push it down. You should hear the clips starting to clip. If you don't, look into why. Let me just do the numpad real quick. That's the easier of the two since it's smaller. Okay. Let's take a look. Where aren't you clipping? There you are. There we go. Alright, everything should be attached. Go around your perimeter. Make sure everything looks good. Now we're going to go ahead and put back in our screws. And don't forget, when you're changing sides, Nice. Wow, good job. It's always good when you fix, it's always rewarding feeling. Now, keep in mind, again, these screw holes do not have inserts. So you are screwing into plastic Again, you're probably not going to do this very often, but never overscrew your screws, because you will strip out that hole, and then it won't work at all. So, yeah, you know, I like to think that my videos will be able to help somebody. That is always my goal. I do love helping people. It is one of the reasons why I'm still doing IT work after all these years. Because I find it rewarding. And it's part of the reason why I'm doing this stream. Alright, so I doubt it. But this doesn't have that at all. We'll check out the actual manual, which you can download online. And again, here we're just going to apply some pressure, see if we can get them to go in, but we can't at all. Like, they don't even, on this side, it doesn't even want to go in at all. Not even a little. So, I have a support open on the Discord that I am going to be sending the video of them not going in to see if they had any thoughts. So now we have this. Now the screen is in the middle. I don't think we're going to need our screwdriver set anymore today, but we'll leave it there just in case. Let's see. Alright. Oh, hey, let's do a little coffee real quick. By the way, today's coffee is Elvish Enlightenment by Geek Grind. Funnily enough, this doesn't even mention the fact that you can move it from one side to the other, so obviously it's not going to mention the fact that you should not over-tighten your screws. Weird, since this is kind of its big selling point. But yeah, it's a good rule of thumb. Whenever you see plastic that you're screwing into plastic, whether it's on something like the RT98 or really in any keyboard, and that includes polycarbonate. You are on a ticking time bomb if you like to take apart your keyboards and play with them. Because every time you do, it will strip it out a little. Like, even if you're the most careful person in the world, well, maybe not if you're the most careful person in the world, but if you're anybody else besides that one dude, who I'm sure lives in Saskatchewan, then it will strip it out a little every time you do it, until finally the screw holes are stripped. It's why they should always include inserts. I'm a big proponent of that, especially if your gimmick involves screwing and unscrewing the keyboard. But now we are in a Northpaw, a right-handed layout, if you will, and it sounds the same. So let's see. Do we want to do anything with this? I'm kind of curious as to how it would sound with something maybe higher pitched to go with the what about HMX Sugar Rush? So this is where we're starting from. And that's with the Creamy Jades. These guys. These guys right here. And then now this is gonna kill the RGB pretty much. Not all the way, but definitely more than a little. Because there's no light spreader and it's a solid base. Yeah, also if you have any Amazon Prime subs that you want to give up, that would also be nice. It accepts 3 different gifts, by the way. Gives it definitely a more solid bottom out. It's a cleaner sound. It doesn't raise the pitch too much. As a matter of fact, not too much. Yeah, not too much. Now we could also take it another way. Let's go ahead and pull these keycaps. And this is GMK Fuji. This might not work. It might be too white. Each shade. So kind of going straight into that GMK found. I think this is definitely too much. What do y'all like? I am thinking that we just replace the switches and not the keycaps. I think the keycaps just go too far. I was almost willing to say we just replace the keycaps and not the switches. But... Or do we replace anything? Or are we just done with this board? We could be just done with this board. And just say, it's pretty good out of the box. If you're looking for a budget board, just go with it. By the way, I was right. This is too white to go on this board. I do have Striker. Then you can just go all blue. Let's replace a few key switches. And give me the old, what I like to call the Heya test, where I just type Heya over and over. Oh, start the A. Okay. Funnily enough, I don't know that Sugar Rush is available. I think HMX has finished with this. And unfortunately, whenever HMX makes a V2 of a switch, it's completely different than the original switch. It's not like you ever get that same switch back in a new run. They're like, yeah, this is that switch, only completely different. Alright, so let's do a quick Heya test. See, I think I like to think so. Yeah. I think replacing the switches. We'll go with the Sugar Rush for today. I like it. I think it's going to be nice. Move this out of the way. Move you out of the way. Move you out of the way. Move you guys out of the way. Along with you. Keep you, because we're going to put you back on after. So I tend to give away my keyboards that I get free from EpoMaker and from other vendors. Or I have them ready to give away for anybody. Like the Split 65. There was somebody who went to one of the local Colorado meetups, and they had, what is it called today? Repetitive stress, carpal tunnel, whatever you want to call it, that thing. And so they were looking for a split, and so I gave them the Split 65 to try. They liked it. I'm like, okay, well, then there you go. Enjoy. And then they moved to Oregon. And they were never seen nor heard from again. And that's all right. As long as I made a positive impact on their lives, I'm happy. Because that's what everybody should be trying to do. That is how we will eventually get to Star Trek. Not new Star Trek where, you know, everybody's a bad guy. But old Star Trek, where you could believe that money is not a goal that needs to be reached. Which, of course, I bring up because, you know, money is, of course, my sore spot right now. But regardless. Oh, I don't know why I'm taking those off. Whatever. So keep in mind, in some cases, if you are taking apart your keyboard to replace all your switches, you need to make sure that if your plate is your mounting method, like it is in this case, that the plate is not friction fit to the PCB, which is to say that the plate is not being held to the PCB by the switches. Because if that's the case, and you take out all the switches, it drops down a little. Maybe not at all, depending on your foam levels, maybe a little, but again, that can cause chatter. If you don't have a good firm socket for your keys, I'll just skip those. I'm just going to skip those. If you don't have a good firm socket for your keys, then you can end up with chatter. You can end up with keys that don't always press. Just be careful. And if that were the case, I would be taking out them by rows or pairs of rows, which I have done this, and then I've done this. As you can see, this uses plate-mounted stabs. They did not. That one. They didn't have really a bad sound. I didn't notice any pinging, which is good. However, they are stock, so you could always go in a different direction. If you want to replace the plate-mounted stabs in this particular keyboard, I would suggest the Designer Studio adaptive stabilizers. Those are my favorites. If not, if you don't want to go with the adaptive stabilizers for whatever reason, TX makes a plate-mounted stab. The Designer Studio adaptive stabilizers use a little nub on the bottom that hooks so that the wire sits here. So when you move it, it kind of pushes up against it, and you can you get less rattled, less ticking. So you add a little bit of whatever your stab lube of choice is. I have been using for the wires I've gone back to old school, and I've been using the Permatex on my wires. And by the way, I'm doing it this way. That way it'll be easier for me to just grab and put back in. I don't know why I took out the spacebar, because I was busy chatting with you guys. So in this particular case, you do not need to worry about taking out the switches that I was talking about earlier, because if you see these points here, they are scattered along the board. Some of them are underneath these risers here. There's another one here, probably 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom, maybe, nope, 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom, and basically they're screwed. The plate is screwed to the PCB, so you don't suffer from that drop down. That is what you wanted to look for. That is what we saw on the bottom of this, because here's one, the other two were up here, which we noticed when we took apart the keyboard. If you didn't notice it, I thought I pointed it out, but maybe I didn't. For those of you who are numpad enjoyers, it does have the 2U0, as you see here. So I do not care between 1 and 2U0 on my numpad. I never have. I do not mind the extra condensed space. In this particular case, it doesn't make any sense since it's a different block. So yeah. How are y'all doing? You enjoying your Sunday? I don't know where you're at in your Sunday journey, but mine is obviously just starting, since it is 8:18 here in Denver and 65 degrees. Currently somewhat sunny. You won't know that because I have blackout curtains. Because if they were open and it is sunny, it shines right here, like for hours in the morning. Especially recently, since with the heat, our poor tree outside might be dead. Although it got rain yesterday, so I'm excited for that. I'm thinking we need to water it more. It's not our tree per se. It is a green space that is out in front of our house, and there's a tree right outside our door. So we don't really have, like, we don't even have a hose that goes outside. So we don't really have a way to water it. I was looking up and they say to take a giant bucket and drill a hole in the bottom so that it comes out the hole so it doesn't just sploosh over everything at once. And then to do it before 10 a.m. or after 6. So we might start doing that. Ooh, you know what else we could do? And keep the depth of sound. What if we went with Assume Rainy Day? Since it was a rainy day. I love Assume keycaps. Also not sponsored. Although I would take some of those sweet, sweet keycaps. Although I have a lot. I think one of their sweet, sweet keyboards. I think they're making a 65 or a 60 now. I don't like function rows. I think most people who are on here know that about me. But the FRL 1800 for me is kind of an ideal setup. Otherwise, I go with a 65%. Although I do love typing on my Ola and my Elongate, which are 40% with numpads. And one to grow on. Well, now I just did all this, and then I've decided I'm not going to do it. Because we're going to go with Osume. Now, my problem with the Osume Rainy Day, and we're still going to use it, but my problem with Osume is that it's very hard for me to read. And I'm a person who has to read my keys. Even if I know where their placement is, I am not a touch typist. So I end up looking down, and if I glance down and I don't see the key where I expect it to be, I will mistype. So if I transpose like the I and the U, I will start typing U's instead of I's, just because I look down and see it. It is also the reason why I can't use something like the black speech keycaps that I was talking about earlier, putting on the RT100. Because they're in Elvish with sub-legends in English, but the keys, the accent keys, are don't show their shift assignments. So it'll show a colon, but it won't show the semicolon. Or no, it shows the semicolon, but it won't show the colon. Which messes me the heck up. I don't know that I have enough of these switches. Here's the hoping. Otherwise, we'll do something with the function row or something. So Unikeys, I think I was about to say this earlier. Unikeys is sending me the Wing Tree Green Apple and Torero switches. They're 2 tactiles for me to take a look at. I'm very excited by this. I want to compare them to things like the cilantro, which I did keep a couple of non-cilantroed up. I need to figure out where my Ice Lotus are. But it'll be my first foray into the wonderful world of PEI plastic. I've never had a PEI plate, but I will start with PEI switches because that seems more on brand for the Adept. Because I love switches. And blue. And gold, I guess. I mean, not really. I prefer silver as a color over gold. But, yeah. That's why, if I were to ever remake Blue Sam, I would make a blue and silver version and call it Ronin. Except for there's already a Ronin. But maybe we could call it Knight Errant. All I do know, blue and silver, better than blue and gold. Red and gold, better than red and silver. but not by much. Brown and gold better. Alright. Moving right along. Function rows for artisans. Yeah. I don't collect artisans though. I have a couple. And the ones that I have are actually almost none of them are on anything right now. I wonder if that's finally my other coffee being delivered. A little late. So I had ordered community coffee with chicory for my stream today, and they were supposed to deliver it yesterday, and then they didn't. But they had still charged me the shipping fee for it, which it was supposed to be free shipping if I got it delivered today. So I had to reach out to him last night. I'm like, dude, I needed that. And you charge me shipping. They're like, well, we cannot charge you shipping. I'm like, okay. We'll try to get it there early. I'm like, well, you're supposed to get it here by the same time my stream starts, and I need coffee for keyboards and coffee. I didn't tell them that part. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have a little bit more than enough. Cabin? Still playing Moving Right Along from the Muppet movie in my head, so. Because that's a thing. That's a thing I do. Now, again, the Asume is going to be harder to read, but I think it's going to match perfectly. Oh, wait. First, let's take a drink. For those of you who have missed, today's copy is Elvish Enlightenment by Geek Grind. It is an origin, single origin from Colombia, light to medium roast. It is yummy. I don't know about notes. Notes always seem like a weird thing. Hold on a sec. Okay. So, this is Asume Rainy Day with the novelty kit, which of course we will be using the novelty kit, because, I mean, come on. I start with the novelties, because I gotta know what I'm putting on. What are we replacing so I don't add more later? And in this case, what we're putting on is a couple of windows here and here, and you can see what I mean. Actually, in the camera, they are much more visible than they are in real life, but you can also see how they are a pretty good match for the case. And that's good. Print. Nope, I lied. We're gonna go with more because there are Can't go with you. We can go with you. And you. And good. Because that's calculator and insert. Insert, by the way, is the worst key ever. And I will die on that hill. Out of all the keys that come on a full-size keyboard, insert can just go to Jilly G. Willikers heck and back. I know, you heard me. So here is our card for Rainy Day. I bought this secondhand, so it did not come with the sticker, but every set from Osume comes with its little logo keycap sticker in the appropriate color. This uses Misty Gray as the primary, then Hazy Taupe, and Nimbus Silver. And that's the colorway for this set. And then here's the normal keys. Osume, my favorite for kitting, because set that's down. To me, it's good. No, it's just hard to see. Anyway, let's get some of these out, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If for those of you who have never tried Osume keycaps, they're a little bit on the pricier side. They're not GMK pricey, and they're all a standard price, but they are not a cheap set. And that is because they are a really good, high quality die sub set. So they're not double shot, which in my case works out because you end up with a deeper. Let's see, can we get something? Can we get something? There you go. If you look here, you can see that everything has a specific place that is listed. So F1, F2, F3, F4. When you put this set away, you know exactly where everything goes and if you have everything you need. And that is fabulous. Now that's only the newer generations. The original generation, everything had a place similar to the Glorious keycaps, but did not have them listed as to what goes where. So you know if you're missing anything, maybe something didn't make it back in the box. But now you know. And that is home. Home. Like what? ET phones? Shrink. Or divide, or multiply, or subtract. And that, oh, and everything goes in per row, except for the space bars, which in the newer sets are separated in their own layer at the bottom. And then the accent keys, or sorry, R4, which has 2 layers. So, yeah. How to take a beige set and make it beigier. So the set we'll be using on the Macross, which is already on it, is another Osume set, and that is Tsukimi. which is one of their oldest sets. We want delete. Oh, it worked out that I did the layout because now I can see where everything goes. Accents. There is no step caps on this keyboard. There is no step caps on, well, there is a step caps on the Macross. However, the that coffee mug is enormous. Yes, I only drink 1 cup of coffee a day. I make it count. Maybe it's cheating. I don't know. How are you doing this morning, Nadia? I am trying to stay glancing over. Okay, shifts, and there is a large variety of shifts that are included in this kitting, including the 1U. So this is a set that you could use on something like the Zoom 64 if you wanted. Because it does have a 2U and a 1U shift. That is the big thing. Actually, it's the 2U. Because everybody can make a 1U something. But that 2U shift, man, I tell you. Like, so many of my sets have most of the kitting that I want. Excuse me. But no 2U. We will go with the mob. Page down here, we do. Itchy, itchy. Okay, and then that's the end of this row. Getting in the home stretch, everybody. Oh, okay. Well, don't do the chorus groggy. I'm just kidding. So, got our 1, 2, 3. We have our 0. We have our period. We have our silver inner to go with our silver inner key on the main board. That is that. And then we just need a spacebar, which I think I'm going to go silver with that as well. Good spacebar selection. We want this one. And then we just need to put everything back. And reverse. card. Thoughtfully designed. Rainy day. Boom, boom, double boom. Okay. Screen. Take this off. I'm going to use this container. Put our keycaps in for now. By the way, these containers are fantastic. We use them for keycaps. We use them for switches. They are $1.25 a piece at the Dollar Tree. Set that off to the side. Bring you up. Plug you in. And then, what do y'all think? It's very subtle colorway. It matches the board almost exactly. If you're into this beige aspect, but I mean, not many people are, but you know. Let's go ahead and we'll pause and do a sound test. Pause. Sound test. I mean, yeah. All right. So this is the HMX Sugar Rush switches with Osume Rainy Day keycaps on the RT98. Now in Northpaw configuration, or right-handed, whatever. All right, what do we think? Did we win? I type like an Englishman. I don't know what that means, but okay. What key? Well, if I had a novelty, I would use the novelty set for Osume. If I did not have it, then I would use, depending on what it was, I would probably use either code. Oh, weird. I never knew that. Yeah, code or something like that. Like it depends on whether it's a 1 or 1.25U middle key on a split. But I would probably favor getting the novelty set for Osume, which I have for pretty much all my sets except for Sakura, and that is because I don't really use Sakura all that much because it's not really my jam. I have Mori that is showing up tomorrow, and that is going to be what I'm going to put onto the That's what we're going to be using with our, what do you call it, Mode Envoy that I won from Jabronis. So here's my other keyboard for today. So this is, again, the Macross by Grey Studio. Here, let's do it this way. By Grey Studio. There we go. Macross, Grey Studio, G-Works 02, type 65%. I love Robotech growing up, so I always wanted the Macross as soon as I saw that it was a thing. Not that it has anything to do with actual Macross, since this is like the Tyrael colorway, which is the Diablo guy. Yeah. And the Tsukimi keycap set with novelties. So, which the novelties are slightly off color from the main set, since the main set is a Gen 1. And the novelties are very recent. It's like their new novelty set for this keycap. So, so they're slightly off, but I'm cool with that. It only bothers me a little. So I wanted something a little bit softer. Tsukimi, it's Tsukimi by Osumi. So let's try out these switches. So the switches that are currently in here, by the way, are the HMX Chew switches. Now I love the HMX Chew switches, but in this board, they come off a little harsh. Just a little bit. A little bit more than what I want. So these are HMX Cilantros with UHM WPE stems from 415 keys, which is now out of business. When they were going out of business, I picked up like 200 of these for like $1. So this is the chew. See, it's just more subtle. It still has that solid bottom out. Changing over the stem obviously removed all tactility from the cilantro switch, since the tactility is based on the bump on the stem, and these have no bump. So, ergo, ipso facto, Proctor Hawk E pluribus unum, no bump. That's nice. That's a nice. It's. I don't often make Franken switches, and I feel like I should do it more since I have so many switches. I'm leaving these over here. Let's put them over here. So I quit reaching around. I wonder why my back hurts all day. Well, because I caught a case of old, but besides that. So we're going to do the Heya test on here. But so far, I feel good about this. By the way, these UHM WPE stems work in the chew as well and work at least as good. Okay, so now we have the Heya test, which is, I'm just going to type the word Heya a bunch of times with a capital H. Kind of gives me a... I do not foam my spacebars anymore. I used to. I just kind of fell out of it. And foaming the spacebar for the, in this particular case, remember what I was talking about earlier, if you were around earlier, about doing this row by row. If you are friction fitting your plate and it mounts by the plate, that is this. This is the case that I was talking about earlier. So every Asume set comes with a smiley and then the extreme smiley keys in the base set. You don't need the novelty set for that. So we're going to be careful. We don't want to scratch our finish. So I tried doing a different, like I tried to use the cilantro stems in B-Sun Anayas, and they seemed like they were going to work, but unfortunately something in that stem, probably the debump, caused it to just depress. Like when you push the button, it never unpushed, so you'd have to hit backspace to get it to stop, and then next time you hit it, it would start going again, and that was just not great. So that experiment did not work. That is this guy right here, which I wish it did, because I love Anayas. I just wish they were a little bit better. Which is generally my opinion of these days of B-Sun, for the most part, is that I love the idea of B-Sun. But when it comes to actually using B-Sun, I find that I end up not liking them as much. I think the last ones I really liked were the Snow Dianes, which are on sale over at Unikeys. They're the ones that Freya has on her Tiga. She picked them up and she built hers. Yeah. By the way, if you ever are buying things over at Unikeys, I think somewhere here listed my beacons. It's beacons.ai/theadept. You get a little bit of money off, and I get a little bit of money back. So very nice for everybody. If you don't want to, that's all right. I think it's the way to go. I think I'm going to enjoy this. We already did our E, we already did our Y. One of the added benefits is, since this is a lower volume switch as well, it makes it more appropriate for work. Because I use a lot of keyboards at work. Like, I'll change out keyboards like 3 or 4 times a day. Like, if I get frustrated with whatever I'm doing and it's not working out, I'll just grab a new keyboard. Done. It's like replacing your dice when you're playing a role-playing game and you start rolling bad. For those of you who play role-playing games, you'll know what I mean. Like, I've rolled 2 1s in a row. These dice are in jail. So yeah, sort of like keyboard jail. Yeah, phrase up. Nice. I would be probably sad about that because I can imagine them going everywhere. Dice pools. The great equalizer. Now, is that a World of Darkness dice pool? Is that a Shadowrun dice pool? Like, what kind of dice are we talking here? So the Jin 1 Tsukimi set, and I think even the later, or the current set, or if they haven't done their V2 yet, which I think they are planning on, there was no step caps. I think I mentioned that earlier. So, I have to use a regular caps in here. I normally go stepped. Oh, we figured out a way back in the day to, if you had a mixed party, a mixed World of Darkness party, you could get a werewolf up to having a 100 and something thousand attacks in a single round. So since I'm using regular caps lock on a keyboard that supports stepped and regular caps, you generally, and in this case you do, have to invert your switch when you put it in, because you make it right side up if you're doing stepped, or inverted if you're not. Just FYI. But yeah, using various, or maybe it was a vampire that you had to do it to, because I think celerity came into play. Morning, Freya.
Your package arrived.
Yeah, a little late. It's got your nail glue though. Thanks for grabbing it.
Yep.
But it used, you know, a number of, or maybe you were changing a werewolf into a vampire so that it could use both, like that bad guy who was like everything. But essentially, like, you know, using correspondence and celerity, and werewolves had something that allowed them to do it. And, time magic. You just stacked everything on everything and it multiplied. And whenever you get multiplication in role-playing games, it's bad or good. It's bad when it's used against you. It's good when you're using it against them. Unfortunately, the moment you show a GM the way you would do something that breaks the rules, it's like a light bulb goes off in their head, and they're like, wait a minute, I can use that on you. And then they have to make a decision. Because, you know. Oh, I know. I mean, time and correspondence. Man. Correspondence magic. I had a backpack I could pull anything out of because I happened to coincidentally be carrying it around with me. You know, as long as it would fit in a backpack. Because otherwise, no longer coincidental. You know, if you're doing the Mary Poppins. But the game that we were playing in, the other guy started off as a Hunter's Hunted character. And the GM let him keep the evil eye. I don't know why. Well, actually I do, because we're having fun. But, yeah. It was a continuation character, so he had a copy of the Book of Nod. Okay. So we were selling the Book of Nod out of his occult bookshop. And the vampires got all mad about that because, you know, we were selling the Book of Nod out of an occult bookshop. And so they were like, instead of coming to us and being like, hey, you know, don't do this, they decided to attack us instead. And that was a mistake on their part. It was. Between me and Alan, oh man, it's crazy. And then they decided to come to us nicely and say, hey, you shouldn't do this. And we're like, okay, we'll just keep it in the back then and sell it to specific people that we want to have it. So because we are doing the 1.25 U keys, these guys here, these are all right side up. Otherwise, if we were doing a 1.5 Windows key setup or Windows keyless, where the middle button is a 1U, we would invert, which, as I see here, is possibly something that I need to do. So we need to invert it on this side. That gets inverted, goes back in. That should fit nicely, and it does. Okay. So, I attacked my coffee. It almost attacked me back. I'm going to drink some of it now. Or I will drink all of it. Okay. So let's take a look at this bad boy. We've got our light strip on the back. There's an accent light here, and that is the only RGB on this board. It's very subtle. Let's do a sound test. Pause said music. By said music, I said it in my brain. And these are HMX cilantros with UHMWPE stems on the Macross 65 by Grey Studios with Osume Tsukimi keycaps. And let's see how that is. Okay. I would say that these are a success. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very nice. Very comfortable sound. Exactly what I was looking for. I'm glad I did this. As long as the key presses remain constant. Let's see, anything else going on? Okay. Yeah. Although, sadly, that brings us actually to the end of today's stream. I'm like in 50 minutes early. Anybody have any questions about either board? Same keycaps, ABS plastic versus aluminum, Sugar Rush, which is a clackier switch. What's inside the Macross? Like foams? It's full foams. All my keyboards, I run full foams. Plate is polycarbonate. So this has case foam, plate foam, PE sheet, case foam, silicone pad, plate foam, PE sheet, and PET sheet on here, which is why it's even a little bit poppier. But yeah, it's kind of a pain for me to take apart, so I try to avoid it. But yeah, because you gotta, first of all, this part comes off. It's magnetically held on. But since I got it as a vendor, or not a vendor, a creator part. You keep missing one of these, and that's fine because it has 3, and 3 is plenty. You have your light strip here. There's like screws that are inset, and yeah, it's a whole thing. So I tend not to take apart the Macross. I guess it depends on who you are. But I am very much a foam enjoyer, which I think sets me apart from a lot of creators. A lot of creators are going to be go foamless, and that is because they feel as if that is a pure sound, if you will. I disagree. I think the purest sound is the sound that is what you enjoy. And because I like deep, I like comfy. There you go, comfy. That is what I go for, and why I don't use things like MX Blacks, because they have scratch. Scratch is not comfy. I tend to avoid things like Shinhais, which are an HMX switch. Even though I love HMX, a lot of their early switches are very much in the clackier side. And once you get into the clackier side, well, that's not comfy. You just want to be able to, you just want to type. And that's what something like this gives me. It gives me something I want to type on. And now I'm just ranting. And running over these keys. Now the spacebar, because it's dice up, if you hear her laughing on the side, that's just Freya. She loves doing her opposite of doom scrolling in the morning. What? It's the opposite of doom scrolling. It is the happy scrolling, which means that she laughs, which is great. And then, of course, Kaylee is out in the hallway yelling her little brain off.
Kaylee, come here.
Because that's what she does. She goes out in the hall and screams. Even though the door's open now. Anyway. Yeah. There anything no, and sorry, Captain L, I missed that you even mentioned that. Nothing was broken. It just wasn't quite the way I wanted. I had good switches in it, switches I love, but in this board they were too sharp. So when I typed on them for long periods of time, again, we're going back into the hey Jabronis, I was I made a frankenswitch. This is the switch that I put into the Macross. It's a cilantro, but I stem swapped to a UHM WPE stem. And yeah, it's very, very subtle, very comfy. That's hilarious. They heard Kaylee through the microphone screaming from the hallway. Yeah. So yeah, and then we rebuilt the RT98 with HMX Sugar Rush and Osume Rainy Day. Again, nothing was wrong with this keyboard. It was brand new out of the box. And the sound, with the included die-sub PBT as well as the EPO Maker Creamy Jade switches, was good out of the box. Don't get me wrong. But since I had them, I was looking for them the other day, and I think that they're no longer in production. And then we moved the, because this originally came in a Southpaw configuration, so we moved the numpad from this side over to here, just to show off how it works, which is to say, there's a series of 8 screws on the bottom. Then there are clips that clip the top to the bottom as well, and then you take them out. And you can move it to the side. It's a ribbon cable, just like the DR70F, if you're familiar with that Daring Run keyboard, which I have, which allows you to move your navigation cluster from one side to the other. This is sort of the same, only this moves the top from one side to the other. On that one, you actually rotate the entire top, I believe. Yeah, you rotate the entire upper case around, and that's an FRL TKL, which I have. I can show that off. We can put this off to the side. Let's go look for that. Macross, you stay there. This is the DR70F. I'm not going to take it apart. I did damage mine. When I initially bought it, I was building it, like the initial build, and the top fell off my desk and onto my chair leg, and did this. I was so mad at myself because this is such a beautiful keyboard. But again, you this piece and this piece are separate, and so you take off the top, you rotate it, and then this becomes your nav cluster on this side and your macro grouping over on here. I do not know what I have in here. What do I have in here? Where did I put my handy dandy? Currently less handy. Not even nearly as dandy. There it is. Poro switches is what's in here. Yeah, it was so sad. And I kept seeing it when I had the nav cluster over here, which is why it's currently in this configuration, so I don't have to look at it. Although now I see that I can still see it, so I'm probably going to move it back. But Hey, Freya. Kieran's waiting for pets. Kieran's waiting for pets.
Kieran loves keyboards.
Kieran loves keyboards. Actually, I think he's jealous of keyboards, but, you know. So. That's how he rolls. You gotta want it. Yeah, so this is the DR70F. The the Daring Run finish and Win Studios finishes in general are very nice. This uses a mid plate, so this is a separate piece that goes in the center. And I don't use this keyboard nearly as much because I like it. I like the way it sounds, although I now see that the inner key has a tick to it. That'll need to be addressed. What Kieran likes to do is when I'm typing, I have like a little lap desk with a keyboard on it, and then the laptop sits in front of it, and Kieran will come and he'll lay in my lap and then just move his head up and just start loving on the space bar. Like, I'm just gonna make the space bar space. And yeah, he does that.
He likes to lay on my space bar.
Kaylee likes to lay on Freya's space bar. So we have a very space bar centric household. Yeah. I'm guessing it might be Paigu stabs. No, I do not know what stabs these are. No wonder this thing is not as good as it could be. That's weird. Huh. I wonder if these are the ones that came with it. I mean, it's possible that I did have them sitting around from the wooting, but yeah, I think these stabs might need to get replaced. All right. Maybe this keyboard, I'll get some new stabs for it. It might get the golden apple treatment. Oh, Jabronis, yeah. So I'm getting some golden apples in to try out, and the Torero switches. Aren't the Wooting OEM stabs the well, Designer Studios is sending me at least one set to try out through Divinity. So I should have them, but I was originally going to use them on the keyboard that I won from Jabronis, the Mode Envoy, because I have a plan for that. It was originally going to be the one I put the Torero on, and then I had a keycap plan for it. Oh, and the Asume Mori keycaps. with novelties that I got for $50. Did I tell you? I got a full set of Mori with novelties for $50. If they give me an extra set, can you comp it? Maybe, yeah. We'll see what they send. Again, free stuff. I like giving away free stuff, so. Speaking of which, you know, so I have a conundrum here, and maybe, I don't know what y'all's thoughts are about this. So, there was a local enthusiast who was getting out of the hobby and was giving away basically all of his stuff, like a ton of stuff. Among them were the makings of like a full set of True Halo and a full set of Panda. And so on a stream, probably about a month and a half ago, I built OG Holy Pandas. And so now I have 103. Actually, I need to mail one to, so I'll have 102. I need to mail one to, whatever he's calling himself these days, but Piano Stand. I have 102 OG Holy Pandas. Now, Holy Pandas are worth a lot of money, but these were free. And I'm wondering if I should, I'm not going to use them. They're too not me. Should I give them away? Or should I try to sell them? Because if I try to sell them, I could probably get at least $100 for them. Which, if I'm trying to build up money for when I have less money, it makes sense to at least try to sell them. But I don't know. I feel kind of bad about selling them because they were given to me. What are your thoughts? I mean, they're not heavy tactiles. They're just like if you enjoy tactiles, they're right here. They are right here. If you like tactiles, they are some of the best feeling tactiles that I've ever tried. Like, as far as mid-bump tactiles. I am currently a huge fan of the Saru switches. And I did give some of those away recently at a meetup. So, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on that? Because according to the internets, they actually go for probably about $2 a switch, which would be $200 for 100 of them. I don't know if people would actually buy them for $200. I don't know. But should I don't know. I don't know. I'll need to think about it. Give me your opinions. Message me. My brain is just screaming that I need to sell everything. Yes, it is. So, yeah. Like the Flux keyboard kit is with the Ocean Whisper switches is like $200. It's a lot for a PCB with switches and foams. Not even a housing. It's been kind of. I need to get a bunch of stuff listed because I'm going to be selling things like my Cruel World CW88. What else do I have? My Classic Glow is going. Basically, most of my tactiles are going. I mean, most of my TKLs are going to be up for sale. I've got an ND75 low profile. I've got the Boog 75 Hall Effect. And I've got like 2 sets of Symbiote, Purple, Dracula that are all still in their containers. I've got, yeah. I have MT3 Cyber that I'm thinking about selling, but I can't find the 1U backspace key, the BS key. And so I'm trying to decide if it's worth selling. But anyway. Yeah, I'm going to be selling a bunch of stuff because in a month they're cutting my salary by 30%, which I'm unhappy about. But there's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, on that pleasant note, I think I might end the stream unless anybody wants to see any of my other keyboards. I got plenty. Got lots of fun stuff. Well, we can talk. I have the base set, the novelties, and the numpad. And again, the only thing that's missing, I went through all of it, is the 1U backspace key. So, we can talk. Let's see. Anybody streaming yet? No, don't do that. Do it here. I do not have a keyboard plugged in. No. So if that's the case, then we're going to be doing what I've been doing recently. Is I'm raiding the guild. So last chance for anybody to give me their Bezos bucks. If you want to give me your Amazon Prime sub, that would be great. But we will be raiding the guild. By the way, if you're not familiar with the guild is awesome. Go check it out. You'll be able to find out right now. Because we're going to be raiding Felicia Day. Have a great one. Thanks everybody for showing up. I really appreciate all your support. And I'll see you next week. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.